Education is critical for success. And I'm sure many of you are aware that how eye care and ear care can go hand in hand. As an eye doctor, did you know you can now create awareness, serve patients who have hearing loss as well? Just like giving out reading glasses, there are many solutions that can be provided for mild to moderate hearing losses. Our supporter for this episode, Eye and Ear, designs exactly the same solution that you're looking for. They provide a collaborative program that will help you as an eye care provider to provide new ways to help your patients with hearing losses as well. This will not just significantly help you increase your revenue, but also help your patient in an entirely new way. A new vision in hearing care can begin with you. To avail 50% discount on this onboarding with Eye and Ear, please check out the description below. And with that, let's get started. Carol Burnett once said, "When you have a dream, you've got to grab it and never let it go." Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerdy Optometrist, a podcast channel for all things optometry. And this is your host, Ukti Vora. Before we get into the episode, please remember you have to share, like, and subscribe my channel, and also follow Nerdy Optometrist on your favorite platform. And today we're just going to dive in directly to introduce this amazing guest that I have today for this episode. And once I start talking and describing about her achievements, I'm sure you all will believe she's a total nerd. And she was a nerdy optometrist much before even this channel existed. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Glenda Aleman Moheeputh. She's the founder and CEO of iSmart Vision Care, located in Miami, Florida. She's certified in orthokeratology and scleral lens fitting, specializing in Paragon CRT, contacts, OK lens, Gov Ortho lens, Lucid Emerald lens, Europia lens, and Zen lens. Yes, when you talk about anything myopia control, she's the person to go to. In her practice, she specializes in providing myopia management. She has established a specialty contact lens clinic within her practice. That's definitely something we are all interested in, and we're going to dig deeper into this conversation. She graduated from Nova Southeastern University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Vision Science and received her Doctor of Optometry from NSU College of Optometry. She currently serves as the president of the American Academy of Myopia Control and Orthokeratology, South Florida chapter. She serves on the chair advisory committee of the Broward College Opticianry program. In her mission to stop the myopia epidemic, Dr. Moheeputh has recently launched her new venture, OK Love, is a myopia control expert consulting designed to educate and consult fellow optometrists on implementing myopia control practices. That's very interesting initiative, and I can't wait to learn more about it. And she extensively lectures and contributes on topics including orthokeratology and myopia management. With that, a very warm welcome, and thank you so much for being part of this episode.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I had the pleasure to meeting you in person in Vegas. So I'm really excited to do this. Thank you again for the invitation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe how surreal that entire meeting was. I started my journey, or I would say struggle, in US, where my first trade show was Vision Expo West. After, pandemic, it was again when I went back, and thanks to the podcasting and people who have been so kind in the industry, I was able to recognize so many people and meet so many people in person for the first time. So it's been an amazing event that, I could also meet you in person. And just to kind of, go back to how all of this started in your life, I really want us to kind of go really back and tell me why or how did you choose optometry? Was it your dream or was it a beautiful accident?
I think it was a pure coincidence. So, it's really funny because I almost never tell where I started my journey. I usually say where I started just optometry, but I've been in this industry for 25 years. Oh my goodness. So how I got into the optical industry was really, really funny because right out of high school, my sister and I had relocated to a different city and we both went in for interviews. I had studied computer science. So I had gone to my interview and my sister was a teacher and the agency that was looking for jobs for us sent her to an optical. Kind of, a chain optical similar to Lens Crafters is here.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in Honduras. It was called Optica Matamoros. So my sister went for her interview, and I've always been, more outspoken, more outgoing than she was. So I said, okay, we're new in this city. I can figure out my way around. So why don't you go to your interview and I'll come back to pick you up to the interview. When I came back to pick up my sister to the interview, where she was interviewing to be one of the sales associate for that optical, I walked in and, I was dressed the part because I just came from my interview. So they asked me, are you here for the interview? So I was like, sure. So if anyone knows me, they know that, if I see an opportunity, I'll take it. Like I'll, jump first and then figure it out later. So I was like, sure, we're interviewing. We need a job. So yes, I am here for the interview. So long story short, I got the job. My sister didn't get it, but we were both new in the city, so I figured we increased our chances, and at least one of us got the job. So that's how I got into this whole world of opticianry, optometry. And when I moved to the US 2 years later, after that initial job interview, I came to the US and I thought you needed to have a degree, be licensed or some sort of college degree to work in the industry. And to my surprise, I was just walking and I always loved the optical industry. So I walked into an optical and they were trying to recruit me. So when they were actively trying to get me to get a job at a Pearl Vision, I understood the value and I was like, oh wow, I can. You mean you want me? And they're like, yes, you're bilingual, you have experience. Oh my gosh, we want to hire you. So that walking into the shopping plaza really opened my eyes. And once I knew that I didn't need to have a degree per se to work in the industry, I knew that's all I wanted to do. So I ended up getting a job in a Walmart optical as a sales associate, basically entry level, which meant that, I was pulled in every different direction. I could be doctor's assistant one day, I would be selling glasses the next day, I would be, putting merchandise up on the boards. So I used to do everything. And because I was so involved in my job, I got promoted to vision center manager within a year. So after a year, I became a vision center manager. And I think one of in my career challenges that I had was being a manager of the optical without being a licensed optician. I had a lot of limitations because at the end, the licensed professional had the last word. And for me, being a manager, I just didn't feel right, being supervising other people that had more knowledge than me. So it just didn't seem right to me. So I said, you know what? I definitely want to go to school. And I was trying to figure it out where or what exactly I wanted to do. I didn't always just wanted to be an optometrist. At that point, I was trying to figure it out, if I was going to stay in the industry or do a different career. And one day, I guess this is just fate. It was just, I was in Walmart doing vision screenings for a patient. And the patient said, okay, let's go. I want to do this. I want to do the eye exam. I walked him over to the optical. And when I walked him over, I said, you're going to see Dr. Weston today. And he said, who? Dr. Weston. And he was like, what do you mean? You're not the doctor? And I was like, no, I'm just the vision center manager. And when I said that, I don't know, he just looked at me and said, well, why not? And I was like, why not what? And he said, why are you not the doctor? He's like, you're a very smart girl. I really like your personality. This is the only reason why I wanted to do the exam is because I thought you were going to be helping me, taking care of me. And he just looked at me and was like, why not? And it just, I don't know, the way he said it, it just got to me. And I was like, you're right. I could be the doctor. And I did a story recently for Black Eye Care, and I was sharing the story. And I think it's important because my situation at the moment, I was 23 years old. I had 3 children. I had my children very young, and I was a single mom. And that just sometimes you don't know the lives you're going to touch. Like, I don't know that person, I don't remember, I don't remember his name, but he definitely touched my life. And even though at the moment, the way he said it, I didn't think about being a single mom, having 3 kids. There were no obstacles in my head, just that you're right, I want to do this, I can do this. And that day took the first step, which was to enroll to get my American Board of Opticianry certificate. So I enrolled, I took the certificate, I passed. And once I did that, I knew for a fact that I did wanted to go to school to become a doctor, but because of my personal situation, it made more sense to get my license as a licensed optician first. So that's what I did. So I got my license as a licensed optician in 2006. I took maybe a year off where I met my now ex-husband, but my husband then got married, so got like a year off, and I decided that I wanted to become a doctor because when I went through the opticianry program, I just really loved the patient care. In Florida, when you go through opticianry school, we actually learn how to do the full exam from beginning to end, and I really enjoyed that. So that's when I solidified, my desire to become an optometrist. And at that point, there was nothing that was going to stop me.
I'm already feeling so inspired and I'm learning so many things. Just a couple of highlights which you said so comfortably and easily, but I really loved how you started that, you are kind of a person who just given an opportunity would jump into it and then figure it out. I feel that's the best approach because sometimes we are hesitant and we will think that, hey, I can't do this because I don't know it, but not everybody knows everything. People are just there and everybody's figuring it out at some stage of their life. So why not you? And I really love that how that one opportunity led to so many things as I would say like a ripple effect, which is impacting so many lives and the entire community with all that you're doing today. So thank you so much for, like jumping into every opportunity, giving that interview and, experiencing what eye care industry is all about. I loved all these beautiful accidents. And one thing which I know you did mention, and I'm also very appreciative that, you were not hesitant to share that sometimes being women, we tend to, restrict ourselves about the opportunity. We all are like so much bound, like you can't do this. This is your priority. This is not possible. You're always taught to think about others first and not about what your wishes are. But I loved with along with all the responsibility that you had being a single mom with 3 kids, nothing would have been easy. But I loved how you were so passionate and you followed it. So kudos to your courage and everybody who supported you during that journey.
Thank you. So yeah, I've always, since I've been asked to participate or share my story in different platforms, I've always been debating where do I start? But I think it's, going back to jumping into an opportunity, I think it's really important because we don't want to, I feel a lot of people just overanalyze everything. And if you wait until you have everything, ready and organized, most of the time that's never going to happen. Even when you think you have everything organized, things always come up. So it's like you'll never be 100% prepared. So I think that's important. I don't know who's watching this, but hopefully we can inspire somebody.
Absolutely. That's our goal. And I'm sure we are all work in progress. There is never work done. So let's just try to, continue doing whatever we are doing and improve every single day. Now, I did briefly mention about, different roles. Like, of course, you started through an accident. You felt eye care industry is the place you want to be. And gladly so, you have done so much work in the specialty eye care space, specifically talking about myopia management and orthokeratology and fitting specialty contact lenses. Tell us a little more about how did you feel or realize that this is my passion, this is where I want to kind of, build my expertise, because sometimes we want to do everything and we're not sure where we want to, stick and grow. How were you able to figure that out?
So I actually was able to figure out what I wanted to do when I was in optometry school. When I went in my third year, I was doing rotation. So that means we spent 3 months in a pediatric rotation. We spent a few weeks in low vision. We spent 6 weeks in disease. So I was doing the diabetic rotation. And going through that journey, it's when I realized, for example, I love, older people. Like I love my grandmother. She was the favorite person in the world to me. And I thought for sure that because of the love I had for my grandmother, that I was going to work with the geriatric community. But when
Mhm.
I went through my rotation, that was not the case. I did not enjoy it at all. And primary care was great. I love primary care because there was, I a lot to learn, a lot to see. But again, it's too vast, too much. And what I noticed, actually, my kids noticed, and my husband at the time, that whenever I came home after my peds rotation, I was just so happy, and I was just sharing my stories with the kids. And they actually said, you know what, you need to do pediatrics, because when you come back from clinic, when you work with kids, you're just happy and friendly. And when you go to other rotations, you come back and you're like miserable. So that was the first time that they actually noticed it, not me. And then there was a project that we had to do at school. It was for a scholarship. And in that project, we had to develop a business plan. And, everything that I do, whether it's an assignment, it's just a friend, we're doing something with friends, I always put 100% of myself. And in that scholarship program, I was like, okay, we're going to do this business plan as if I'm actually going to execute this. And I had the address of the office where I wanted it. And I wanted in that business plan, I said, I'm going to have a primary care office with an emphasis in pediatrics and a specialty on myopia management. And I did that. And I am a strong believer in the law of attraction and, that manifesting what you want. And I
Mhm.
think if you believe something and you write it down, like it happens. So I did the business plan, and the name on that business plan, the whole project, was iSmart Vision Care. And, which is, after I graduated, I actually was able to fulfill my business plan. I didn't win the scholarship. My friend and I, we didn't win. But, to see that every once in a while it comes up on my memories, and to see that school project actually now is a reality, it's pretty amazing. So that's how I got into working with pediatrics. And fortunately for me, as soon as I graduated optometry school, my first job, I got a job working in a primary care office with an emphasis in pediatrics and myopia control. So I started doing Orthokeratology day one out of school. So that was, I feel very fortunate that, the universe just lined up everything for me. So that was amazing. And
That's wonderful.
once I knew that, I just, it's so rewarding, like what we are able to do for these kids, and we're knowing that, we're literally changing their lives. It's just nothing. It's not a better feeling. That it doesn't get old. Every day I do it, I get super excited.
That's wonderful. I really loved, how you felt it was a calling. And I really would like to point out one thing which you said, that sometimes when in school, right, we tend to take these projects and assignments to literally like, who cares? What am I going to do with it? I'm just going to kind of do whatever and submit. I just want to get marks, and we don't think about the bigger picture. But that could be an opportunity to, write down your dreams and do the legwork along with a mentor who's going to help you review and assist you as well. So I think I really loved how you even started, like, grab every opportunity. It was a college project where most of them, or even people, who did one scholarship, might have just done it for the heck of it. And I'm like, okay, let's, what looks most attractive, let me just do it. But you did it with a sheer plan, and I think that's very appreciative, and we all should kind of learn from that whatever you do, try to put in your 100%. Just because you don't know what the outcome would lead to it, even if it's not an immediate reward at that point.
Absolutely. So after I did that, but I wanted to tell you the address that I had on my business plan, I actually got the building for my office. So that is
Wow,
pretty, very
that's
freaking.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And
Uh,
I have
that's
a
I think
really,
that's meant to be. That's definitely meant to be.
and I have, most people don't know this, but I have a funny anecdote of, so I founded iSmart Vision Care. That was my first baby. And, during the pandemic, when COVID, It was slow. So I was very fortunate again to fall into, somebody gave me very good tips, and they said you should do the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. So
Mhm.
during COVID, when we were very slow, to me, that was like an amazing opportunity, because since my office was functioning at about 30% capacity, I had the time, I completed that program. And in that program, again, another project, there was an assignment to come up with a business growth opportunity, which is where OK Love was born.
Mm.
And, I did it through the program, and I was like, this is amazing. I have all these resources. I literally had every professional guiding me through the process. So when I developed my mission statements, a professional team would review it and tell me, oh, this is good or that's not good. So I I created OK Love, and I opened OK Love in that address that we had from that school project. And what's even funnier is that I said I want to have my Orthoke clinic next to an orthodontist. So guess what? My next door neighbor, her office is an orthodontist office, and the name of that office is Sweetheart Dental.
Mhm.
And the name of my office is OK
Okay,
Love.
love.
So I'm like, what? And we didn't even know each other before. Like I registered OK Love, the name and everything. I established the LLC a year before I ever got the building. And, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy that I landed next door to somebody who, like I was like, OK Love, people's going to think I'm crazy, but I don't care. I like it. And then I get next to somebody whose name is Sweetheart Dental. So I'm like, it's just meant to be.
So I think this is very interesting. And I always like to ask, like, how did people ask me as well? Like, I know when I decided the name Nerdy Optometrist, many of them were like, why nerdy? And I'm like, because I like it and that's who I am. How did you decide the name Okay Love? How did it come to you? Does it have some interesting story?
Absolutely. So really what happened is, although I love myopia management, that is my passion. But when you ask me, okay, among the myopia management treatments, which one is your favorite? And my favorite is Orthoke. So, anytime I hear myopia, and my head is like Orthoke. So I was like, I just love Orthoke. So that's really where the name came from. And, I think my first option was love Orthoke. I wanted to do something to just transfer that passion that I have for orthokeratology through the name of my practice. I wanted to be part of the name. So I just came up to, OK Love, the initial. So it's Orthokeratology, OK Love. And
Mhm.
it's just really because I love Orthoke. So that's it. That's how I came up with it. And I wanted to, the logo, I wanted something with a circle in it to show the dynamic process of orthokeratology and how we are reshaping the cornea. So when you look at my logo, that's why it has the little circles and the dots. And it's like they don't really meet, because I wanted to show in the logo that orthokeratology is such a continuous dynamic process. Um, the aesthetics, like the colors, everything that I did, has to do with branding. I just wanted something that catered to kids. So
Mhm.
it felt welcome to kids, but also I designed my entire office and my brand thinking of the parents, because I'm a parent and I know I'm a terrible parent. I don't like taking my kids to the doctor, because doctors' offices for pediatrics are so chaotic. They're,
Right.
noisy, and they usually have those blue, green primary colors that are very bright. And I was just like, that's not what I want. So I knew I wanted a pediatric office, but I didn't want the traditional, like primary colors in my office. So that's why everything, that I came up, it was just like, it's very zen, and it's like, it's kids friendly, but it's not like in your face. And I did that because I wanted, I know most of the times are going to be the moms bringing the kids. So moms feel very welcome in my office. They feel like they're in a spa. It's a very relaxed, very inviting environment that we have.
That's wonderful. And I mean, as you said, like I feel it's so much fun in the details that you shared. Like, you just don't think about the name or what you love, but how you even translated it into your practice and how the first impression goes. Because at the end of the day, we need to cater to a patient's need. And I really liked how you look not only at kids' need and requirement, but also the parents. You want to make sure everybody is welcomed in your practice. It sounds, and I know, it was a very aesthetically very interesting and very rewarding journey. But I want to know, did you have any roadblocks? Because it sounds like you had a project, you made it in reality. You had a project and you made it in reality. I wish many more
No.
projects your way, but it wasn't that easy, or was it?
Oh my gosh, absolutely not. It's like, oh, you're gonna make me cry. It was actually very hard because, it was during COVID that I was doing that. But I'm a big believer that, when God gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Take what we have, right, and make something good out of it. Like ultimately, I think I'm a very optimistic, positive person. And yeah, I always say like, oh yeah, I did this and I did that, but it wasn't that easy because what happened was when I wanted to open Open Love, I was in this business program and they connected us with lending people. We had a workshop on, how to talk to the lenders. And I did my budget and I had everything counting on getting finance, right? Getting a loan to open my practice. And at the last minute, my loan didn't get through. So I was like, oh my God, like I remember I went through like a crisis for like 2 days and it was just, horrible. But then I looked at all my finances, I looked at my other office, and I basically had to go through my whole business plan and revise it and see how I could do it, because I was like, this is not going to stop me, So it's like through my life, yes, everybody sees the end result, and I think that's why it's important to go all the way back and share like the beginning of the story, because everybody sees me now and they're like, oh my God, you're doing so great, but it took a lot of work to be here. So that was a major challenge for me, was when I found out that I was not going to get the financing, I was like, well, I'm not going to give up. It's going to take more than that for me to give up. So, I basically self-financed my office, which I'm very happy to say. Now that I look back, I'm glad, because it made me design my office. I still got the same end product that I wanted, the aesthetics. My office, it's beautiful. I'm very proud of it. But because I had a major roadblock, it really made me look into being very frugal with my expenses. And at the end, I ended up with a very low overhead. I have no financial, burden right now. My office is paid off completely. And, if I had that major loan right now, I would have just another huge debt and, to deal with. So at the end, I'm glad that it happened like that. But I'm a person that I've been through so much in my life that's like, okay, that's easy. It's just money, right? I'll work 3 other jobs. I'll do whatever it takes, but I'm going to make this happen. So I did. I had my office, my Walmarts, and at the same time, I got an opportunity to do telehealth. So I was literally like a crazy person working 2 offices in one day. So I would work half day in one day. I would work the second half at the other office. And on the days in between, I would do telehealth. Like I was working 24/7, basically. But and in between, I was doing a lot of it was do-it-yourself projects that I did in my office. My kids, I brought them all in. I mean, it was like a full family effort, but that made it more beautiful. And, my kids are completely invested in the office. They picked, it was like a family effort. Everybody had to approve the furniture and everything. So it's a really fun project at the end. And, my kids, I feel like they learned so much in the process. And I think a lot of the times for parents, and it's turning like into something else here, but for parents, we worry so much. I worried all the time, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, am I working too much? Am I leaving my kids too long by themselves? But at the end, my kids, when they come back and tell me, Mom, I'm so proud of you and look at everything you have done. So I finally made peace with myself, where I don't question myself anymore. My parenting style is that I lead by example. And that's the best, parenting tip I could give to somebody here if they're parents. So that used to bother me, but now I'm just like, no, you know what? It's okay. And yeah, that was a major roadblock for me at OK Glove. And before that, just establishing myself as a myopia control expert, practicing inside a retail location was another major block because, I worked very hard to make myself known and to become an expert. And then I had a block where my colleagues who wanted to send me patients, they would tell me, hey, Glenda, look, I sent this patient to you, but when they found out that you were in a Walmart, they said they didn't want to go to Walmart. So that was another, challenge I had to overcome. And, like my friends, they would say, she's an amazing doctor. You got to go see her. I know she's in Walmart, but you got to get over that. And, which ultimately led me to open OK Love because, that was one of the challenges. So I guess I turned something that was negative in a way. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm getting a lot of referrals and I don't want that to be a limiting factor. So that's also when I felt the need to open OK Love in a different location, a private practice where it could be the source for the home for all these referrals that I was getting. And then I still do my Walmart. I do myopia management and specialties there, but that's only for those patients. And now when I get referrals, I usually go to OK Love.
You definitely do sound like a superwoman, but I loved, how you shared two very interesting things. And I think I know this was something similar, which had even came up in my previous episode, where Dr. Maria Sempales, who everybody knows because of her corporate optometry efforts and channel, she did mention that, like, even with, all that she does, she like, I have kids, what I do is like, I ask them, let's read together, where she'll be reading few papers and articles or writing articles, and she'll ask her kids to read their books. So it's like still a activity doing together, but everybody's getting their job done. And I loved how you reinforce, because sometimes working mom, single mom, just mom in general, we are too hard on ourselves that we don't feel we're giving enough time and attention, and we set unrealistic expectations from ourselves when especially raising our kids. But how you said a very, very wonderful statement, was like, lead by example, and they're always watching. So even if you're not there, they're watching your efforts, they're watching your passion, they're seeing what you're trying to give out to the community, and at the end they'll definitely appreciate it. So super proud of everything you're doing, and I really love how this message and positivity that you're sending out through this episode. I'm loving it.
Thank you.
And I know we did talk a lot about, optometry, orthokeratology, and eye care, but it's time for my fun game segment, which is a rapid fire. So this is just to know more about you as a person. We're not going to talk about, optometry or eye care anymore. So are you ready for a rapid fire round? The only rule is I'll ask a question. You have to answer the first thing that comes to your mind.
All right.
All
Ready?
right. Okay. My first question. Tell us about your favorite destination.
Mauritius.
Mauritius, wonderful. Tell me about your hobby or something that you do during your downtime.
Gardening.
Gardening, lovely. Tell us about your favorite cuisine.
My favorite cuisine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Thai food. Everything Asian.
Everything Asian. Wonderful. You're going to be my Thai food partner. I love it. Tell us one thing which people don't know about you.
Oh, there's a lot, but I guess I used to be a performing artist on my teenage years.
Oh, wonderful. What would you perform? Were you like dancing?
I was singing and dancing. I used to impersonate this. She was the Spanish Lady Gaga at the time. Gloria Trevi. She was a very famous singer back when I was in my teens. And I was just pushed into impersonating her for one event. And after that, I kind of liked it. So I used to perform.
Do you still sing or dance during your downtime along with gardening?
After a few glasses of wine, yes.
I love it. Love it. If you were to interview someone dead or alive, who would that be, and what would the question be?
My grandmother.
Mhm.
She is my hero. She inspires me every day. I have a lot of wonderful mentors, at the moment in life, but she was my number one. She still
And do
is.
you have any question for her?
I would ask her. So my grandmother always loved hats, and I wanted to ask her something. I don't know if I would say that here, but I just want to. I would love to just spend more time with her. I knew it a lot. I knew her a lot. I spent the most time out of any of my cousins and her kids with her. But I still have so many more questions of when she was a young woman.
Got it. Wonderful. If we were to write an autobiography about your journey, which I feel we all should, you should write and document. But this is again another project question, I would say, in a rapid fire. If we were to write an autobiography about your journey, what would you like the title to be?
The title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I don't I actually have thought about this, but I think it would have to be the adventures of Glenda.
Wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
One last question. One thing that you would like to change or add in the eye care industry, what would that be?
Change in the eye care industry. Yes, we need to move the needle on how many doctors are doing actively prescribing myopia management treatments.
Wonderful. I love, how you like so dedicated to myopia. And with that, we did end a rapid fire. You did wonderful. Great questions and great responses. And I loved, and I'm happy to know, what all we can do together when we meet next time, for sure. Before we end this episode, do you have any final takeaway message for all my listeners?
Um, I would say that courage just courage is just overcoming your fears. So the only thing that keeps anyone from doing and pursuing their dreams is being afraid. So it's just a matter of what's stronger, your fear or the desire to accomplish something. So we all have fears. I had a lot. So I think when we say somebody's courageous, it's because they were able to overcome those fears. It doesn't mean that we didn't have fears.
I love the reality check that you gave throughout this discussion, where when we all feel like, oh, you've got it all, you're like, no, you all can get it all. It's all still work in progress. But
Wait, I have one last thing to say. Do I
go
have
for it. Yeah, go for it.
my latest accomplishment, I feel, or role is that I am a founding board member of LEO, which is Latinos and Optometry. It's a group that we are putting together along with Diana Canto, Lawrence Chavez, Hector Santiago, and Karen Carrasquillo. These are Howard Purcell. We are the current board members, and we're trying to develop this group to support and help Latino optometrists, but also to recruit more students to join this beautiful profession. So stay
Wonderful.
tuned to
Yeah,
learn more about Leo.
wonderful. And do you have any links or something that you would like to share? Then I can drop it in the description as well.
Yes, I can download. So we just had a meeting today, literally. So I will share the website for Leo.
Perfect. So all those who are listening, and you need not be Latino or to know this. You can just spread the word because now things are global. So I'll be sharing the information about Leo in the description link. Do check it out and do support. We all want more diversity, more people and joining this profession, because we definitely feel this is one of the most blessed profession where we are all happy and proud to be part of. So thank you once again for all your efforts, for all the work that you're doing, and it's been a wonderful episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.